Well, that was embarrassing. Thank you, whoever it was who told me that they couldn't hear me. I had my Bluetooth headphones on and connected, and so I had video but no audio. Now I am back with my steak and egg diet update in the Sugar Freedom Kitchen, and I hope you can hear me. I'll be looking. If anybody says, I can't hear, I'll know. But we should be back on track and doing it right now. So I've been on the steak and egg diet for a little bit more than a week now. It was a week on Monday. Had a rough start. I was eating some chicken and some other things, so I wasn't getting all of the benefits of it. My appetite wasn't being reduced. My energy wasn't being increased. So went ahead and I took out the chicken and I made sure I stuck to steak and eggs. There are a couple other little things and I'm gonna share those with you. But as soon as I cleaned it up and I kept to steak and eggs, just a little bit of cream in my coffee, heavy cream in my coffee in the morning, and sometimes a little bit of bacon at lunch, no problem. Getting leaner, lost about half a pound, waist is getting smaller, but the best thing, motivation, attitude, energy, and well-being way up. So this is the most important thing that I have found on these ketogenic, carnivore, even the steak and egg protocol is it's not just about getting leaner, it's about the surge in energy and also the surge in optimism and motivation for other things. So how much am I eating? So I'm pretty small, 5'1", stay around 125 pounds, so I'm not a big woman. I am eating 6 ounces of steak and 2 or 3 eggs in the morning at breakfast. And then I'm eating 6 ounces of steak, 2 or 3 eggs at lunchtime. And my husband usually makes bacon in the morning, so I might have a couple of slices of bacon with that. And I'm finding myself very, very full and satisfied and just keeping rolling throughout the day. However, and I think one of the things that's very important and remember, this is a demonstration, not a recommendation. I'm just a regular person following this program. I used to be a certified personal trainer and fitness nutrition specialist, but I'm just sharing my experience, not making a recommendation. Ask your doctor or an RD before you try this yourself. That being said, so one of the most important things I'm finding to make this work is that I've given myself the permission that if I do get hungrier and if I do need to eat something else, I can go ahead, have a little bit more steak, have a hard-boiled egg, have some more scrambled eggs, have a piece of bacon. That way, I'm not getting tempted off of the steak and egg plan. I'm not gonna reach for nuts or fruits or other things that can get me rolling back on my cravings again. Giving myself the permission that if I'm hungry, I can have a bit more. But the good news is, the last 2 days, no extra hunger. I do find that around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, there's that little voice in the back of my head that says, ooh, maybe, and I'm like, no, I'll do something else instead, and so that's working really well. When I did my original video 7 or 8 days ago, I said that I would do a video talking about one of the reasons that I believe that the ketogenic diets work so well is, for me, the effect that it has on dopamine levels. And I do want to talk about dopamine in terms of what's going on when you are a compulsive sugar eater, compulsive carb eater like me. So 2 things are happening. I get these huge cravings for anything that's sugar or breaks down to sugar. And the research has shown that sugar can affect the D2 receptors. It can affect the dopamine receptors in such a way that not only are you craving the sugar in order to get the dopamine release, but it also affects the receptors in such a way that the other things that you might have been doing to release dopamine, which would be, like, for example, for me playing the piano or doing a dance or memorizing a poem, that those things actually don't give you as much of a charge as the sugar does. So it's a lose-lose in that the sugar, it's exciting the dopamine receptors, it's giving you this rush, giving you these benefits, this feeling of well-being for a brief moment, and it's also dampening down all of the good things. So all of the things that you want to accomplish, whether it's in your work or whether it's in your art form, those are being dampened down while the desire for sugar is being amped up. So what happens? So when I do a protocol like a steak and egg diet or a ketogenic diet or even a carnivore diet, what's happening is I'm giving that whole dopamine response a break. And it only takes about 2 or 3 days for everything to normalize. And all of a sudden, I'm finding not only do I have no cravings and less that constant hunger, not only is that reduced, but my enjoyment of the fun things is elevated. So it's totally a win-win. Fewer cravings, less hunger, and then more motivation and more inspiration to do the things that I love. So it's absolutely fantastic and really, really happy about that. So now let's talk about the steak and egg diet. You go 5 days of steak and egg, and then you get the day where it's more of a free day or a freedom day to eat pretty much what you want. Now, I'm not going to go crazy and eat the foods that I know are going to trigger my appetite. I have another plan. I'm going to eat the ketogenic foods, the freedom foods that work with my way of eating. So what's that going to be? Obviously, it's going to be turkey, which is the main event. Just going to be the family, just this little bubble that we're in. So we got a small turkey, we're going to brine it, and we're going to roast it. And then the goodies that I get to have are some beautiful cheeses. I've got a fancy cheddar here, my favorite, Old Standby Brie, and then another favorite, which is a Humboldt Fog goat cheese. But that's not all. There's more. Another ketogenic goodie is my wild salmon. So I've got the cheese, I've got the wild salmon, and another recipe that I make, and there's a video, and I'll go ahead and link to that video, is my sugar-free cranberry sauce. Incredibly easy to make. Just the cranberries, orange zest, some vanilla, and then whatever sugar-free sweetener you use. I use stevia and erythritol. Really easy recipe to make that. And then for dessert, I do a chocolate dessert, a ketogenic dessert, which never triggers me, always satisfies me. Really easy. Tablespoon of sugar-free, extra dark, special dark chocolate. And then it's just a single serving. So I'm going to do a 1/4 cup of sour cream, a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream, about a tablespoon of butter, and I'm going to whip that up with a hand mixer, and it gets really fluffy and it gets whipped up and it's a mousse, and that makes one perfect serving for one person. A little bit of vanilla extract, and then of course my favorite sweetener, which is the English toffee liquid stevia. So I'm going to be honest with you. When I was struggling with overweight and obesity, all I wanted was somebody to tell me the truth about what they were eating in order to overcome overeating. So I'm going to tell you the truth. And although when you hear steak and egg diet, you're like, well, you'd better only eat steak and eggs. The truth is, the steak, the eggs, a bit of butter to cook the eggs, and I do have some heavy cream in my coffee and a little bit of bacon, and I also use a few drops of liquid stevia in my coffee. So I'm not a completely pure steak and eggist, but what I am doing is working in terms of reducing appetite, increasing motivation, and overall increasing well-being. So that's the episode from the Sugar Freedom Kitchen today, and I hope you will always eat for yourself. Give yourself permission to eat the foods and do the moves and exercises that agree with you. Luigi Cornaro, who was a 15th century Italian who wrote about diet, he wrote a book way, way back centuries ago about this idea that he was going to leave out the foods that messed with his digestion and messed with his appetite. Hundreds of years ago, it worked for him. It's still working for me. So remember, be well and eat for yourself. Take care, everybody.